And then we're also going to talk about how she worked at finding builders, specifically recruiting up, and we'll explain what that means. But Audra, do you want to share a little bit about yourself before we go into the topics? Or
Totally. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Okay, earlier I was like, wait, I don't think Christy can hear me, but it was probably because your volume wasn't on. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, thank you so much for having me. And you guys, you are all so blessed to have Kristen and Tyler as your leaders of this amazing team. She is amazing. I've gotten to know Tyler too. He's okay. Just kidding, Tyler. Call me crazy again. Just kidding. But I love them so much, you guys, and they're just so amazing. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here with you all. And as far as my journey, first of all, I always am hot, so I'm going to take this sweater off right now. Side note, really funny thing, I used to play piano growing up, and whenever I would practice, I would have to be in like a sports bra and like little booty shorts because I would get so hot, like sweating. And that is how I feel when I present like publicly to people, like even like Zoom calls, or like that was the thing for me that was really hard. Like I love talking to strangers, but like presenting and teaching a class, so intimidating. And I have spoken on stage with doTERRA several times, and every time like so same thing. So I grew up in a log cabin in Iowa. It was super fun. And I'm actually going to share screen. I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of what I have for you guys. And then and then all of this kind of goes together as far as tapping outside of your warm market, never-ending network, enrolling lots of people, and recruiting amazing people. Like it all goes together. So to keep me on track, we're going to follow this. So there's some fun photos. And also this is the one and only PowerPoint I have ever made in my entire life.
Oh,
Get excited.
that's right.
Yes. So that's the log cabin that I grew up in Iowa, totally raised on cough syrup and ibuprofen. Like that's all my parents knew. So that is what my brother and I were raised on. And that's like what I knew. And so even though I worked for this amazing, awesome, fun company, Lululemon, running around the community, selling yoga pants, educating on workout clothes and working out, I had a ton of people in the nutrition and the wellness industry, but that never like holistic stuff it was just so foreign to me. And that was the first oils class. Well, we can come back to that. So fun. But what I want to chat with you guys about is with my story, I was at rock bottom. So I am a huge believer in the fact that we need to figure out what's going on and help people figure out their felt need before we like verbal diarrhea, like oils and information. And that is why I said yes to doTERRA, because 4 years ago, November 2014, I was on crutches. I was on crutches for like 7 months with plantar fasciitis, did all kinds of injections, was doing all the Western medicine things. Nothing was working. And my friend Amy, who is right there, she's my upline right there. She's Blue Diamond also. She's awesome. She shared doTERRA with me in her backyard in Boulder. And you guys, I laughed at her and I told her it was so cute that she thought plants could be healing and that she moved to Boulder and became a hippie. And I also was at that place where I was like, I will try anything. I just spent $3,000 on physical therapy injections. Nothing's working. I'm being threatened to be fired from Lululemon because I can't walk and therefore I can't work out like I used to. And I did all the community development for them. And so I tried the oils, and through taking the vitamins, that's what I noticed first. After 2 months of taking them like religiously, I was like, this is crazy. I went from like sleeping all the time, super depressed. I had a ton of inflammation going on in my body, to full of energy. That then led me to call Amy and make some food changes that she was recommending to heal my gut, which I also had no idea about. Amy was like, you need to heal your gut. And I told her that it was my foot that hurt, not my gut that hurt. Like 4 years ago, you guys, no idea anything about like all the things that I talk about all day long now. And so through the vitamins, healing my gut with nutrition, using frankincense oil, and saying yes to God when I was in Nicaragua and accepting him into my heart, I was able to completely heal from everything, all the inflammation. I had no more pain. And I'm talking like went down to Nicaragua, dropped the crutches and took the boot off, and then got on the plane and came back like and had no pain for the first time. And it was like a year and a half. So I was a believer, and I was just like, oh my gosh, God gave us everything we need: food, plants, water, the ability to love people, like plants to use as medicine. And so it all just happened simultaneously. I actually put a fundraiser together, got fired from Lululemon for promoting my Nicaragua fundraiser at work. The next day, bailed out of nursing school because I was like, I'm not going to go teach people about something that I'm not passionate about. And also, I was watching the Western medicine, like our healthcare system, and the opioid problems that we have in this country kill my dad. Like, I was watching that. He was in chronic pain. His whole life was in such chronic pain that I would like watch him hit his head against the wall to distract from the pain in his body. And you guys, my dad was like the coolest guy ever. No matter where we went, we always had a friend. My mom would get so annoyed with him because if the cash register person at the grocery store like was having a hard day and they would start like sharing it with my dad, we'd be like late for a wedding and he would just be all ears, like loving on that person, just showing up, serving. And he just like lit up the room. Such an amazing man. And I watched him struggle with his journey as far as chronic pain, severe heart problems, atrial fibrillation, cirrhosis of his liver, all kinds of stuff. And I watched him get addicted to pain pills because that's what the doctors gave him. And it's really hard if you're prescribed that to not become addicted. And I watched that, you guys, firsthand, just like totally change my dad. He was still there, but he wasn't himself. And I mean, side effects like you wouldn't believe, like suicide, like suicidal thoughts, like such paranoia. His whole life consisted around his medication. And I was so angry, you guys, like so angry that no one could help my dad. And so when I learned that you can heal naturally through like all the things I just mentioned, I bailed out of nursing school and was like, people need to know this. And sadly, it wasn't in time to help my dad. And it was too late. And he passed away 2 years ago. He had a heart attack. And the reason I'm sharing all of this with you guys is that like 3.5 years ago, I decided to dive into doTERRA full time from day one with no other income, bailed out of nursing school. And that was like terrifying. And I also felt like God just was like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I was like, okay, I'll just say a prayer and then just go for it. But none of the other things matter as far as talking to a stranger, recruiting up, like all the things, all the skills. None of that matters unless you are just so crystal clear on why you're sharing and what your purpose is. And so when I first started, long story short, there's this little boy, Nelver, right here, who's just so stinking cute, who I met in Nicaragua, February 2015. He was 19 pounds and 3.5 years old, super sick, actually dying of starvation and parasites. And God just like used that little boy to save me and also used me as a person to also help to get him help. And through that experience, I just fell so in love with this little boy. I would love to adopt him one day, but it's way crazy with the government in Nicaragua. But I just have always felt called to I'm his auntie Audra. Like, I will pay for everything for him for the rest of his life. When he wants to go to college, like everything that I do, like I will be able to support him, which I am so grateful and blessed. And so the first 1.5 years of doTERRA, that photo was my screensaver on my phone. Every class that I taught. And you guys, when you rise up and you're like, I'm going to do this, there will be like all the things will go wrong. I was like a brand new baby silver, jumped into Diamond Club fall of 2015. And in that first month got hand, foot, mouth disease, was like covered in all this crap, lost all of my nails, all of them. And I'm telling you this because I was doing Diamond Club and I still was teaching like 20 classes a week. I was like painting my nails before classes because I was so embarrassed. Like, how am I going to teach a natural doTERRA oils class with like no fingernails, like so bad. But I went through a lot of this stuff, but because I was so clear on this is why I'm doing it, I would literally look at that screensaver on my phone of Nelver every time before I went into a one-on-one, before I got on an airplane, whenever I was meeting people, before I taught a class, because that gave me the confidence to go and do the scariest things because I knew why I was doing it. We have a chat potentially. Oh, thanks. So, hold on, let me go back. So that I was very clear on that as far as being my why. Hold on. I know I can figure out how to go back. Wait, we're only going forward. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. So when my dad passed away, that was like horrible, you guys, like the hardest thing I've ever experienced. And also I experienced like so much gratitude because I was able to take 2 months off of work. I was solid gold at the time. This was June 2016. Still had an income like $4,000 to $5,000 each one of those months that I didn't work. And it was such a blessing because I'm the kind of person that's like, oh, this is really painful, so now I'm going to just get really busy and ignore it. And I knew I couldn't do that with losing my dad. So I was able to take that time, and coming back to work was like the best thing ever. Our team is like my family. And so I love what I do. And my dad has become a huge part of my why. And I know that Immaculately spoke at convention that year, and it hit me like how I needed to forgive myself, because the last encounter I had with my dad was the first time I ever didn't hug him goodbye and tell him that I loved him. And it was like horrible, like so bad. And I learned to forgive myself. And this was the last photo. My dad came out to Denver Father's Day weekend. It was 2 days later that he passed, but he like was the healthiest he had been in years. Just like had a really great last year of his life. And having this photo is just like, it's like one of the only photos that we have from this yoga class, and is just such a blessing. And I know that God used my dad as a way for me to see like the suffering that thousands and millions of people are living in right now every single day that don't have hope and don't have healing. And that's what we are here to share and to introduce people to. And so I really know that through all of this, God like lit that fire inside of me to be like, I'm going to make sure as many people do not go down the road that my dad went down with his health. And in doing so, I get to carry on my dad's legacy of loving people and just being the crazy like oil lady or whatever, or chocolate lab. I'm like the cat lady with my chocolate labs. And so here's the thing that I always think about and I come back to is I know for sure, like you guys, when someone's suffering, it like consumes them. It becomes like they talk about it all the time. And I watched that with my dad. And what I really believe is that he lived really close to Omaha, Nebraska. And I believe that at some point he was probably sitting having lunch with someone, like talking about his stuff, because he always talked about it, his medications, not like in a negative way, but when that's like all you, like your whole life is focused on it, like that becomes a lot about what you speak about. So he would constantly, like, he would be talking about his pain, his next doctor appointment coming up, how his last one went. And I guarantee you at some point, a doTERRA wellness advocate or a customer who loved their oils was sitting next to my dad and was too scared to be like, hey, I know I'm eavesdropping, but are you open to trying something natural for your pain? I just heard you talking about like the pain that you're in. And I always go back to that, because when it comes to sharing with people that you don't know and connecting with strangers, you have no idea what they're going through, none. And it could be that one opportunity to share with them these amazing gifts that God gave us in the form of essential oils. And I'm not saying that oils would have saved my dad. However, I do believe that had my dad experienced the relief from pain and better sleep and the different things that oils can address, that would have opened his like awareness and also mentality to the amazing community we have within doTERRA of naturopaths and functional medicine doctors, and just the people that I feel like could have really helped him heal, because everything he had was all autoimmune related, I later learned. So don't let the fear of rejection stop you from helping someone else change their life. That is like so key. You never know what people are going through. And so when you get in that space, for me, I love talking to people that I don't know. I love hearing their stories. Everyone has a different story, and it's so amazing and fascinating to hear from different people. But maybe that's not your thing. Maybe that the thought of like talking to someone that you don't know somewhere like at the supermarket or on an airplane is like terrifying and makes you sweat and just get like super awkward and nervous. Okay, that is how I feel doing this Zoom call with you guys right now. That is how I feel every time I got up and taught an oil class 20, 30 times a month. So what you have to do in those moments is you just have to take a step back and be like, okay, this is not about me at all. And it's all about the person that I can serve in this moment. So there's going to be different things along your journey with doTERRA that are scary, that are terrifying, but you have to just kind of check yourself and be like, okay, stop making this about me. Like, this is definitely not about me, and I want to help the person in front of me. So with sharing, and I'll kind of go into, when I started, there were 3 reasons that I told Amy I would never build a business with doTERRA. When she enrolled me, I told her to put me at the bottom of her little network marketing pyramid. I was super anti-network marketing because my aunt had done all of them. We all have our reasons, but I firsthand saw my aunt do like millions. And then I also was approached by so many different people in network marketing just for the business, but they wouldn't even tell me about their products. So I just had a bad taste in my mouth for the industry. I also was terrified of public speaking. I had taught some yoga classes, like a handful, and it was fun, but I also like didn't love it because there's something so different with like talking to one person or a couple versus like the whole room is eyes on you. So I was terrified of the public speaking component. And I also didn't think that I knew enough. I felt like if I was going to go teach oil classes or tell strangers about oils, I had to know it all. And none of that is true at all. And so when I was watching Amy build her business and was going to Boulder and I was like babysitting for her kids, great move on Amy's part, because that allowed me to just be like, wow, this is so amazing what she gets to do. Like watching her do team calls and talk to mentor people and coach people is like, this is not at all what I thought it was. And so at the beginning, because of the network marketing stuff I was working through, I was like, I'm not telling anyone I know, no one that I know I'm telling about doTERRA, no one. I am only going to share oils with strangers. And if you guys have questions, just unmute and just start talking. So I'm happy to like answer questions along the way if stuff comes up. And so it's funny because that's how I built my business. And then now 3.5 years later, I've realized that that's an area that a lot of people most people do it the opposite. They start with their warm market and then they tap outside of it. So I love this topic and I love talking about how to recruit amazing people into your business, into your team. And if some of you guys were on the leadership call today, Gina Cross talked about that. And I was like, yes, I tell my team this all the time, how really being clear and thinking about who your ideal amazing business partner is and sharing oils with them as a customer, because eventually some of those people are going to end up becoming your business partners. So I'm going to just remind me, Kristen, I have like a whole thing I can share about recruiting up that we'll talk about too. So back to the basics is just like, keep it simple. Like, what are the things you enjoy? I love hiking with my dogs. So all these samples and all these oils go in the dog backpack when I'm out and about. I love Being the Starfish by Neil. He breaks it down just so simple as far as like, okay, I want to share oils, where to begin. And then this is a very sweet woman that I met in Bali who like had never gotten a massage, and massages are like $5 there. So I gave her like $20 to go get massages with her fiance. Now they're married. She invited me to her wedding, which is so cute. I couldn't go, and then I gave her some oils and she just was like so appreciative and so excited. And I feel like sometimes we just overcomplicate things. And with sharing oils, it's like the analogy of you're going to the mall to get a new purse. And there's 2 options. You walk into the store and the first option is the salesperson comes up and is like, oh my gosh, this is the latest and greatest. You're going to love this purse. These are all the amazing features that it has. This is the material it's made out of. This is why I love it, blah, blah, blah. Versus you go into the same store and a different salesperson comes up and is like, thanks so much for coming in today. What are you looking for? Oh, you're wanting to buy a purse. What do you typically keep in your purse? What is the fabric that you're used to? What is the fabric that you like? Same thing with oils. If we are walking around being like, frankincense, king of oils. Oh, I love it. This is why. Versus, how are you doing? Like, what's going on in your life? Oh, you're really stressed? Like, tell me more. And helping people to share like what they're going through, then leads us to an option and an opportunity to say, are you open to trying something natural for blank, whatever that is? And honestly, that is the key with sharing with people that you don't know, is just connecting with them. My favorite way to connect with someone new who I don't know is by giving them a compliment. Make it authentic and real. Like, if you definitely don't like their scarf, don't be like, oh my gosh, I love your scarf. Like, don't, that's super awkward. Don't do that. But everyone, you can find a compliment in pretty much, I feel like, anyone. And it just like makes people feel so good. And just that alone could totally brighten their day, because you never know what people are going through. I love talking about being generous because of what we have access to. In California, I was there for 2 weeks and I forgot my On Guard toothpaste, but I was like, whatever, it'll be fine. Everyone that I know now uses doTERRA, except for my friend that I was staying with for 2 days. I was watching her dog because I have 2 chocolate labs. She lives right on the beach, right on the ocean in San Diego. And she was going away for 2 days. And I was like, I realized that I wasn't going to have my On Guard toothpaste. And she's not as into doTERRA yet as I am. And so she could tell that I was about to have a meltdown, knowing that I wasn't going to have my On Guard toothpaste. And she's like, don't worry, you can use it. I'll take my other one. And I had this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like I take this stuff for granted so often. And that's how everyone else is living their life, using toxic toothpaste, using toxic cleaners that their babies are crawling around, that's getting in their baby's skin, that's getting in their dog's like fur. And so just be generous with the information that we do have, because people need to know what we know and the solutions and amazing lifestyle that we have access to. So listening is the most important, especially when you're meeting strangers and when you're like meeting potential business partners. Listen first, relate to them. Oh yeah, I can totally relate to that. I was in pain too. Or yeah, I actually have several mom friends who have also struggled with sleep during their pregnancy. I don't personally know what that's like, but I know I've had mom friends who have also struggled. Share. Are you open to trying something natural for your pain? Are you open to trying something natural for your baby, for helping your baby sleep? Are you open to trying something natural that's safe and effective during your pregnancy to help you sleep? These are just some examples. And then educate. So where we go wrong, you guys, in doTERRA is we do this all backwards. We go straight to educate, share, and that's when it gets awkward. So when you're meeting new people, when you're connecting with people, just remember it's all about them. Be there, ask good questions, listen, relate to them, and then are you open? Are you open to learning more? Are you open to trying this? Remembering that might be their crucial moment. Top secret information. You don't have to know it all. I learned that really quickly, because it's actually better to not know it all. Our goal is not to become people's doctor of essential oils. Our goal is to empower others in our life, empower our loved ones to be able to be their own healthcare professional. So that's awesome, because that takes the pressure off of you to know anything at all, hardly. And when I started, I just used like people as guinea pigs. I'd be like, oh, you have a headache? Let's see if this helps you. I don't know if it will, but let's just try it. And that's a really awesome way. I still will do that. Like, you're not sleeping well. Hey, let's try this. Let's see if it helps you. If not, I know that there's a solution that can work for you. Essential oils they're plant medicine. So very similar to like the pharmaceutical industry, and that what works for me might not be the best for you. So let's make sure to find something that works, but let's just start here. So it's really good to not know it all. Use your app. Like, if you have someone that has something going on, be like, oh, let's look it up in this app. And so you're showing people like, this is how I figure out like what to do for my healthcare. So take the pressure off of yourself of having to know things. And just stop trying to be perfect, because I'm a perfectionist. And if you are just like so stuck in that, you're taking away so much time and opportunity of sharing and of helping people. Getting creative with sharing the oils and having fun. So this is great, because you can take so many like potential horrible situations and just turn them around. And you guys, what a great example of like, people will like match your energy. So if you're like feeling sad and down, like that will come, that people feel that. Doesn't matter what you say, it's how you like show up. And so this on the left was so funny, you guys. I got pulled over on my way to teach an emotions and oils class in Colorado Springs. And I was like, this is so crazy, but I'm just going to go for this. And when he pulled me over, instead of like sob story or fake crying, which I can't even do anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, officer, thank you so much for pulling me over. I was totally speeding. Thank you for the reminder. I just am so excited to teach this essential oils and emotional class to my friends in Colorado Springs. Phil is like, oh, what are essential oils? And so then I'm like, oh, oils are amazing. I bet you have pain, right? Because you're sitting in your car pulling people over like me all day. He's like, yeah, actually my shoulder's messed up. I'm about to have surgery. So I was like, here, try this, put it on your shoulder. And you guys, I need to go find the Facebook Live. He let me do a Facebook Live in my team page with his lights like blaring behind my car, because the Deep Blue Rub helped him. He was like, wow, this actually like feels really good. Emily Wright stole this photo and posted it and had like 4,000 likes. And then I had to text him and be like, hey, is it okay if I share this on social media? But he loved it. And so that was like the best thing ever. This guy on the right was just like, it was at leadership. We had just gotten done with leadership. We were in Hermosa Beach. And this guy was strutting around the beach like he was just like the hottest man on the beach that day. You know, when guys like their lats are so big, they just like can't even walk normal. And so I was with a couple of friends and I was like, you guys, this is going to be awesome. Watch this. And so I went up to him and I had my little doTERRA like keychain and I was like, sir, we're looking for a model today to model some of our oils. Would you be open to being our model just for a second? It'll only just take a second. And he totally did. And then immediately after I was like, okay, here, what's your number? I'm going to text you the photo. And that's the other thing is getting people's contact info. Do not give people your business cards. Get their info. Do it with excitement and they will totally be into it. And I always like to get people's contact information before I physically hand them a sample, if I even give them a sample. Because a sample is like having them breathe wild orange in when they're feeling stressed and taking 3 deep breaths. Like I have done a lot of oversampling, which ends up devaluing our oils. So that's important though. A really easy way to get someone's contact info is you guys have something in common and you can connect on that. Oh, like I have a kid too and I haven't heard it, or I don't know, like I haven't heard of that place. Great. I'll text you the location. That's my favorite. For me, it's always like fitness and yoga stuff. So someone that just moved to town, oh, here, give me your number. I'll text you one of my favorite studios. And this is only if doTERRA and like natural solutions don't get brought up in the conversation. And you just have to know like and trust at your core that everyone can benefit from this lifestyle that we have access to. And like when you really trust and believe that, you won't have an issue asking for people's phone number and connecting with people because you just know so much that everyone can benefit and needs these amazing oils in their life and all the other things that come with it. And something that I also love is just it's like you kind of have like make it a game. So I think the next topic, here are some like oily pickup lines. Eventually I'm going to write a book. That will be the title. So I love like making it a game. I remember working at Lululemon, whenever an angry suburban mom would come in, my team would like stick me on her because I loved nothing more than being like, I'm going to turn this frown upside down and she's going to walk out smiling. And so it's the same thing with oils, like getting creative and thinking like, how can I bring oils up or how can I like get this person to share a felt need like in this conversation? And it's not always going to happen. And the thing is like, I know that that's something that's serving them and they might not know it yet, but eventually they will. So I already talked about this. Are you open to trying something natural? I gave you guys the officer example. Sometimes, especially as women, we will just like say all the things that are going on in our life, but we're not going to actually say, I'm stressed. I'm not sleeping well. However, you can easily get someone to say that if you are listening to them. Remember step 1, listen, and asking them, wow, you have so much going on in your life. Are you sleeping okay? Are you feeling stressed? What's your energy like? So there's so many questions you can ask to kind of help people to figure out like whatever their felt need is. And that's the name of the game, you guys. If you can figure out someone's felt need and get them to like actually express it and know it, then the game is over. Like, are you open to trying something? Yes. Once they know it, The problem sometimes is that we just like spew off information before they even know that they need oils. A great example, my brother lives in Oceanside, California, and I went skydiving with him. And then as I was leaving town, he's like, I want to show you my place real quick. And then I was leaving. So I was like, of course, like, I want to come make sure you're not living in like a sketchy, like bad area. So I'm your big sister. Like, I want to come check it out. Walk into the house and it reeks of Glade air freshener. There's Febreze bottles everywhere. And I'm literally, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be in here. I'm so sorry. Don't do that. Like, I'm a wuss. Like, I get a headache like right away. And I was like, sorry. And he's like, what? I don't smell anything. So in that moment, it's not going to be effective for me to be like, listen, this is why all this is toxic. You need all these oils, like, get them right now, blah, blah, blah. But what is effective is that he had a concussion because he is a professional, like, skydiver. So he had gotten kicked in the head the day before and had like really bad neck pain and a concussion. So I was like, Andrew, come, like, take this frankincense, put it on your tongue. Well, I asked him at first, I was like, would you use the oils if I give them to you to use for your concussion? And he was like, yes, I'm dying. And he was so cute. He even asked me to like put the deep blue rub on his neck before I pulled away. And I was like, oh, I have to go. I don't have time. But then I was like, of course. So I'm putting deep blue rub and frankincense on him. He's using the oils. He's taking them internally for his concussion. Guess what? 3 days ago, he texted me and he's like, can I buy a diffuser and a car diffuser from you? And that is huge, you guys. My brother has been like I gave him like a whole home essentials kit of oils to take through Australia, and he probably didn't even use any of them. And so, but because I was focusing on his actual felt need, his concussion, and the oils were helping him and with the pain, then he's like, okay, I want to learn more. Asking people, have you considered making your own natural sunscreen, insect repellent? And just educating on like the reasons why some of the chemicals are bad is important, because if people don't understand that, they're not going to care about using something natural. But when they know that the insect repellent is getting into the largest system in our body, our skin, and how the toxic things that they're putting on their body can affect our endocrine system and our hormones, then it's something that people might become more interested in. I love this one. So everyone knows FOMO, right? So sometimes with the right person, they can tell you something and you can be like, you're using frankincense, right? And then just pause, like at the end of the class when you close. And it's so awesome because it essentially makes this person feel like everyone in the world knows about frankincense except them. So that's a really good way for them to become interested in like, oh, well, what is that? I don't know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, frankincense is amazing for inflammation. I give it to my dogs to prevent cancer and hip dysplasia and all that stuff. So you can get so creative with it, but you're not going to get creative with it if you don't know why you're doing it and you don't know like what we are part of with this amazing company. So definitely, if you need to work on that and get more clear on that, go to convention, go to leadership, and just ask questions and experience and use the oils, and you will get there. So using them anytime and everywhere. Using your oils publicly is huge when you're wanting to share with strangers and recruit amazing business partners. And this is something we don't always think about. I bet some of you on this call like went to the gym today and you put your oils on before you went to the gym, or you went to yoga and you used your oils and you did all that stuff before you actually went to the class. Thank you. Andrew just slid some peppermint under the door because he probably knows I'm really hot. So you guys, boyfriend of the year. So that is something that's so simple but super important, is actually bring your oils and use them on yourself publicly in front of everyone. And that's so easy. It's the easiest way to share because people will ask you, digest that in lemon on the table at the restaurant, putting lemon in your water when you're getting a pedicure. This middle photo is so funny. We were going to Hawaii and my friend and I were doing On Guard shots on our tongue, and this guy was traveling the world, and I was like, this is really strong. I don't think you'll want it. But he's like, yeah, give me some of that. He had no idea what it was. And he loved it. But so just using them publicly is going to generate so much interest. Tips and tricks are always have your oils and your deep blue rub on you. Even if you run into Costco, put your peppermint put your wild orange I love. There's a little test that you can do that's so fun where if someone is like having a bad day, you can be like, okay, are you open to trying this? And have them put wild orange on their palm and then have them think of the worst thing in the world, like the thing that is just like so negative and horrible. Have them breathe in, close their eyes, 3 deep breaths, and have them try to keep thinking that negative thought. And I haven't found anyone that can actually say that they can keep thinking that negative thought. That was not my original idea. Emily Pfeiffer shared it with me, and it is so fun, so fun. Keep it simple. Don't be sampling helichrysum and Siberian fir, like peppermint, lavender, breathe, on guard, digest, and deep blue rub. My dad used to always talk about in sales, because my dad, you guys, he sold Ecolab, like chemical toxic stuff. My dad would have been so amazing in doTERRA, but he would always tell me like, honey, remember everyone's name. And I'm horrible. I'm getting so much better at that because I feel like I black out. Like when someone tells me their name, I just like go blank. And so I had to get a lot better at that. And with doTERRA, it's like we're always connecting. So it's still ABC, but we're always connecting. And by doing that, we're also always closing, because by connecting with people, by loving on them, listening to them, following up with them, we are able to get these amazing oils into people's lives. Don't use the Modern Essentials app. Use EOE Books. I love that app. I love it. I think I was the last person to hear about it. You guys probably already know about it. But EOE Books is like my favorite app. And then sharing with friends of friends is something that I like didn't even think of until I was like solid diamond and talked to Keith McCoy, and he was telling me how he shares with friends of friends. And I think I had this thing where I was like, if I'm asking my friends for referrals, then I'm being this like pushy, salesy, like network marketing person. And then I realized, wow, how selfish of me to not ask my friends if they know people who are suffering in chronic pain, or if they have friends that aren't sleeping well, or if they have friends who are struggling with gut health. Like, think of all the thousands of people that I missed that are still suffering like my dad did. So asking friends of friends as well. And then we're going to talk about follow-up, and then I'm going to talk about like really how to find your most amazing people. So with this follow-up, I don't know if we can zoom in. There might be a way. Hold on. Too complicated. So, oh, we have a chat. We have a chat again. Oh yeah, EOE Books. So with follow-up, you guys, here's the thing. People are fairly busy these days, and you need to not take anything personal ever. Do not take anything personal. All of these examples, you guys, are blue bubbles, lots of blue bubbles all the way up of me following up and no response, like crickets, total silence. And that happens all the time. And if like, don't be a robot, don't be like texting them the same thing over and over again. I love getting creative with my follow-up and not saying like the same thing, and really like focusing on them. Ashley owns her and her husband own this amazing gym in Denver. She was interested in oils like years ago, but then she never, like, I was following up. She totally dropped off. When our team was going for blue in July, I was like, all the shame aside, I'm like going for this. So I asked her, hey, I hope you're amazing. I hope your life and family are wonderful. I've recently become even more passionate about helping athletes pre or post-surgery or friends with pain with quicker recovery with oils. Do you know of anyone who could benefit? I'm such a hater of the opioid epidemic, and I really feel like that's what took my dad's life. I want to help others to not go down that road. Please let me know. Who's going to say no to that? And then her response is, actually, could I use oils for my kids and myself for immunity and stress and blah, blah, blah. So I think sometimes just getting creative and not being like, hey, have you thought more? Hey, what kit do you want? Like, just get creative and like just connect with people. Cindy, you guys, this is like the best story ever. So I was going for a swim like July of 2017, and I went to the pool and a kid pooped in the pool, so I couldn't swim. So I was like, oh, this is so annoying. And so then I drive like 40 minutes to this other gym to swim at their pool, and a kid had pooped in that pool, and I was literally like, at that point, I'm like, I'm an hour into my attempt to work out, like, what is going on? And then I had this moment where I was like, what would I tell someone else right now? And I was like, okay, what I would tell someone else is that God has a perfect plan for my life, for your life, and stop questioning it and just accept that like everything is happening in his perfect timing. So I was like, okay, I believe that. Like, that's when I'm going to swim. I came to swim. I'm going to keep a positive attitude. So Cindy and I start chatting. Turns out she moved here recently from Idaho, and she has this amazing family, Italian husband, 2 daughters. We're just connecting, didn't talk about oils, didn't talk about anything else. But then we get in the water, we're swimming laps next to each other. And then I was like, hey, Cindy, she's like 55. She's like, do you want to do the butterfly stroke with me? Because I look like a drowning dolphin when I do it. So maybe it'll be fun if we both do it together. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to. But I have like I have back pain. So I can't do that one. And at that point, we were already like kind of friends. We had already been talking. And so I was like, oh my gosh, would you be open to trying something natural for your back pain? I teach people about essential oils and plant medicine and holistic remedies for like pain. I love helping people with that. And she was like, yes, please, I will try anything. So I give her a recovery roller, which I can send the recipe, and deep blue rub packet. I don't like run out of the pool and bring it back. Like we swim laps and then I make sure to catch her in the locker room before she leaves. Again, that's why it's so important to always have your oils on you, because what if I didn't have that recovery roller with me? That's such a good one to have, to let people borrow, or in that instance, I'm like, you can have it. I want to follow up in a few days and see how you're doing. What's your number? I'll add you on Facebook. I'd love to see like photos of your family and connect. And so then she's following me on Facebook. I'm following her. And and have you guys ever had this where you follow up and they're like, it was great, period. Nothing else, like silence. And then you're like, So that happened with her. And I was like, whatever, she's not ready yet. And so a couple times I would kind of talk about doTERRA, but she wouldn't respond to those messages. So I kept it about her family. I would comment on her stuff. She would comment on mine. We're like getting to know each other. And so then in February, BOGOs, I messaged her about BOGOs, no response, nothing. Then in July, I messaged her again about BOGOs. And normally if I message someone about doTERRA and they don't respond about doTERRA, the next message I send them is not at all about doTERRA at all. It'll be about like, hey, I just saw this awesome thing, like something else, like relationship building. But I was super excited for our team going blue, and I went for it. And you can see she responded, told me all about her fibromyalgia, her arthritis. Sadly, I didn't see that message until September, which was super sad, the saddest thing ever. And we ended up going to lunch at True Food, and you guys, I'm sitting there and just like, she's telling me her story, and I was literally like crying in the middle of True Food because her story aligned so like to a T to my dad's. So like 12 years prior, she had a surgery. She had this metal rod put in her back. One of the screws was stuck in her spine. So then she had to have another surgery to remove that screw, which then caused spinal fluid leakage, which then caused fibromyalgia. And she has been on like an insane dose of opioids for the past 12 years and like almost not functioning. And she's sharing this story with me. And I'm literally just like crying because I'm realizing why all the kids pooped at the pool that day and what God's plan was for me to meet this woman. And she's just like, and she knows about my dad. Like she totally knows like his story. And she's like, I just don't know what to do. Like, and she has already tried to wean herself off, and she's gotten her opioid, like her pills lower, but it's really hard. And there's not very many people out there. And there's like all kinds of TED Talks on this that teach people how to get off of opioids. It is like such a problem. And so I'm literally like crying, she's crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And we're both like, God is so amazing. And so and then I told her about the vitamins, and I'm like, so she gets the Natural Solutions kit. My friend Deb and I go to her house, and we're there for like an hour and a half, which I love doing in person, like membership overviews if that's possible. And you guys, when someone is on like so much medication, they're just like not all the way there. And she wasn't smiling. And by the time we left, she was smiling. She was like excited. We talked to her about like, we're like, you need to eat your breakfast every morning. She like wasn't taking care of herself because she was just like just out of it, like so out of it. So she messages me while I'm in California about her LRP in December, and we get on the phone, and she's like so excited to tell me that she's down again. So she's already decreased her pain pills again and is feeling better and is like loving the oils. And I just am like, how that is like why I do this, like that. And there's so many other people out there, you guys, just like Cindy, that you just have to trust that the people are right in front of you every single day, wherever you go. And it's your choice to like step out and start a conversation and connect with people, or to not. And I hope that you do connect with people, because it's such a beautiful thing. And it's so amazing and such a blessing to get those messages of like, thank you so much for sharing oils with me. Thank you so much for sharing like all of this. And then Angela was awesome. Like, I connected with her on a plane. I gave her some oils. She had no felt need. I rarely do that, but I was feeling really excited, and I was in Diamond Club. So I was like, oh, you're going to Florida? I'm going to Florida. Oh, you have a training you're doing for like, because she's like in pharmaceuticals. I'm like, here, take some lavender and peppermint, and here's some deep blue rub. And I like never do that, you guys, but I was just like in a mood. And then I like followed up with her a lot, and she never responded, like ever. So then again, in July, I was like, I'm not messaging her about doTERRA, because it was like sad, like four of my messages for like a year and a half with nothing. So she posted a thing about fishing, and my friend in Montana likes to fish. So I just touched base with her. I was like, oh my gosh, you and my friend Courtney, who's also lives in Kalispell, would be best friends. Your fishing post just popped up on my newsfeed. She's a fishing fanatic. I hope you're doing well, Angela. And then she writes me back, oh, how funny. I was thinking about you. I would love to order some. I don't even know where to start though. And I didn't even write to her about oils. And so you guys, like, don't stop following up, seriously, because everyone is on a different journey, and sometimes you just have to be super patient. Going for no is awesome. Like doing a challenge with yourself where you're like, okay, I'm going to see how many no's I can get today, because you'll get some yeses, and you'll also realize that you don't die when you get told no. This one is like, go, work-life balance is awesome. Bring your Aroma Touch Diffuse kit or your Aroma Touch kit to a massage. You don't even have to mention doTERRA. The massage therapist will ask you what the oils are, because they're so like, oh my gosh, these are amazing compared to what I'm using. And then this is so great. So talking about, I hear a lot of my builders aren't doing anything. Like, how do I motivate them? You don't. You do not motivate anyone. You inspire people, and you get out and you do the work and you find your people. And at Lululemon, what we did is they have like our avatars for Lululemon, they even had names. The woman was Ocean and the guy was Duke. And Ocean was like in her 30s, making six figures. She was at this yoga studio and this coffee bar and doing this and no kids yet and blah, blah, blah. And this is Duke. And you guys, we all like totally laughed about it at Lululemon. But it's so funny because when I started with doTERRA, I like Kristen and Tyler, they're so nice, like to say those like really nice things about me. But I love sharing that I have no experience, you guys, basically, and anything. No sales experience, no business experience. I am very like spontaneous. I had to really like make a schedule when I started owning my business, because my ideal day is to wake up and just like be spontaneous all day long. And what I realized, and the only thing I knew, you guys, was what I learned at Lululemon. So I did that in my doTERRA business, and it turns out to be like the best thing ever. And that is being really clear on who you want to become your part of your tribe, because your community that you create with this company, with this amazing team, is like your family. Like they literally become your family. You guys, when I walked as Diamond, I was dreading it because the only person I wanted there was my dad, the only person. And he would be like in the stands at my track meets with this like obnoxious hot pink hat with his video camera. And like, I was so sad that he wasn't going to be there. And my team like surprised me, and like they all were wearing hot pink hats. Like Jen Panza and Jim like bought these pink hats, and I just like lost it. And just realized I'm like, this is just such a blessing to have these like friends and business partners that have like totally become my family and their families. Like, it's just amazing. And at Lululemon, what we would do is we would go around to yoga studios and CrossFit gyms, because that was like the culture of Lululemon was very like fitness focused. So you could do this wherever and whatever you love doing. Like if you're a mom, like going to mom groups and like different fun places there. But for me, like fitness was my thing, is my thing. And so I would go and like I had a standard, a very like strict standard written down. These are my business partners. Okay. So this was my list that I created. And I didn't really even know that I was doing this until probably like 2 years into my business, but this is the only thing I knew how to do. And it turned out to be so great. So my business partner that I knew was going to be someone who already owned a business, because I hadn't. So it'd be super awesome if my business partners like knew what owning a business was like. I wanted to work with women who were like in their 30s and also were already into the fitness and nutrition and health and wellness industry in some way, whether that's physical therapy, yoga, nutrition, fitness, whatever. I wanted to work with people who have already built a business and doing like something like that. And I also wanted my business partner to be someone where even if they're making 6-7 figures a month, they're still going to want to, they have that like philanthropy, like servant heart where they're just genuinely like on a mission and have so much purpose to help and to serve and just like heal and love on people. So those were like my basic things. And the way that I found those people is I basically did what we did at Lululemon, which is went around to yoga classes and found like, so at Lululemon, we would go to a bunch of yoga classes and we would find the most influential teacher and someone who had a following and was really well loved. And we would call it like dating. We'd be like dating them to see if they aligned with the Lululemon culture and to see if we would want to make them an ambassador, which is someone that just basically represents Lululemon. So with doTERRA, I did that exact thing where I was like in Miami, and this is so amazing, you guys, like such a good example of just like trusting God and knowing that like it's just so crazy. So I was in Miami and I'm just like running around Miami, like thinking this would be a really great place to have a team, because when I go to Nicaragua, I stop in Miami, like all the flights, it's either Miami or Texas. And so for 3 days, I'm just like running around, taking yoga classes, going to Lululemon, like going to Whole Foods, the places where I know these people, my potential business partner, would hang out at. And I'm striking out, like totally not vibing, like not really connecting. I just didn't find that person. And I was like, oh, well, like whatever. I guess I don't have like my business. I might not have a team here. That's okay. And within an hour, my friend calls me in Colorado and she goes, hey, I know you're in Florida right now, but will you be back next week? My amazing friend, Jennifer Panza, who's on the cover of Yoga Journal and is so amazing, is teaching a rooftop yoga class with headphones in Denver. And I would love for you to come with me. Do you want to go? And in that moment, I was literally like, whoa, like God heard my prayer. Like she is totally like, that's my person. Like that's who I'm looking for. And so I did not go to her class and just like spray oils everywhere and like run up to her and be like, do you want to work with doTERRA? I love peppermint. But what I did do is we all went to dinner after the class and connected with her. And then Jen and I ended up going to breakfast before she left because we had talked about Nicaragua, and she had done work in Nicaragua, also bringing shoes down with this like running nonprofit. And I had just done that with brought a ton of Croc shoes and worked at this orphanage. So we're at breakfast, just like not even talking about doTERRA at all, like connecting about this philanthropy stuff and just like, Kristen knows Jen. Like she is just such a bright light, just so amazing. Just like one of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life, like inside and out. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, it'd be so cool if she wanted to do doTERRA. But I also was like, she was not there. She had all these crappy oils and was super not into doTERRA. But we have this joke that she like loves telling her team this. So she would like tells them, she's like, yeah, I kind of felt bad for Audra. So I let her come teach oil classes at my yoga events, which is true. Because when I met Jen, it was right when I started Diamond Club. So I like didn't really I didn't have a team at all, but I was doing Diamond Club and I was like, I like Florida. And so she would open up her yoga events and I would teach classes, and not very many people enrolled because none of the none of the work was actually being done like before I would come and teach oils. So a couple people would buy kits here and there, but not really, because they weren't being sampled. They weren't being like, none of those things were happening. I was just coming and basically like putting oils on people. But I kept going back. And when I went, I would bring all my oils, all my skincare. Jen and I would use everything. We just developed this like amazing friendship. And she didn't even buy oils from me until December of that year. And then she like spilled all of them in her purse. Like she didn't even like use the oils, but I kept coming back. She kept opening her events. And then she started using the oils, started using everything. And then she was kind of watching me like enroll all of her people at her classes. And she called me one day. It was like right before my dad passed away. And she was like, okay, why haven't you told me the business opportunity that comes with doTERRA? And she wasn't even on LRP, you guys, like at all. She hadn't even ordered since her spilling all of her oils in December. And she said, I want to build residual income in addition to she already had a successful like 6-figure income, like private yoga business. And so she had to decide if she wanted to join Elena Brower's team or my team, because Elena and her were friends. And I was like, I will not be offended. Like, I love you. You have become like one of my like closest friends. And I think you should do like whatever you feel like is right and where you're going to get more support. And like without hesitation, you guys, she was like, well, I want to work with you because I know, like, I see that you're going to come and like help me, and like we're friends. Like, I'm much closer with you than Elena, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because Jen called me today and was talking about just irrelevant, but basically like, I'm so grateful that I'm a part of this inspired wellness community that we have. And so my dad passed away. And so then another leader, I had a trip planned and it had just happened. And so my other friend came and like taught Jen's the first classes, and then Jen got going and she just hit diamond, you guys. She's like the first other diamond in our team. And I love this photo because my like dream was to have a team in Miami. And that came true. And this was actually right after I met Kristen when we went and did this like business retreat. And I've been healing from adrenal fatigue this year because I'm just like, it turns out you can't be like, go, 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 like all day long forever. And so this was just such a blessing. Emily Pfeiffer came and my friend Clara, who's another leader on our team. And it just was so amazing. And just, it was so cool to see like that all come together. So instead of like trying to pull people with you, go out and like be very clear on the people that you want to work with. And if you look at my team, I realized this in July when we went blue, every single one of my 5 golds who qualifies our team for Blue Diamond is a business owner. They have already had a 6-figure income business. They are all women. They're all like, no matter how much money they make, they will be out there serving and loving on people. One is Jen with yoga, Clara's with nutrition, Deb is with MAT therapy, Missy is a physical therapist, and Evie is like has a team of 80 athletes. So like if you're clear on that and you just like pray about it and go out and like find those people, help them fall in love with oils, help them really see like your heart and why you're doing it, it all comes together beautifully. So that I try to keep it an hour. I know we went a little over, but I get overly excited. So I think that's it. Yes.
That was so good, Audra. And I think everybody else sees now why I call you amazing and crazy in the best way possible. Also, one thing that I wanted to tell everybody, a lot of you guys I think have seen the picture. I even just posted it in the 12 Days of Diamond thing, but the picture of Tyler and I when we were walking as diamonds with the confetti everywhere and we're like screaming, that was Audra she like staged the picture and took the picture.
And Jen threw the confetti.
Jen Panza.
Yeah.
and anyway, so like I say, Audra is like my crossline doTERRA bestie, but like she is like that with everyone she meets because she really like what she's saying is so true of how she meets somebody and she is just gonna like turn their frown upside down and she's gonna love on them and make them feel like the most special person in the world. And so anyways, that is like the number one reason why I'm like, I want to be just like Audra.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good to hear all these things of like how you do it in your business. It's so good.
My dad used to always say that too. He would always, two things he would always say. He would be like, turn that frown upside down and smile, smile, smile. Like he would yell that. And then he also would, he'd wake up in the morning and we'd be all sleeping and he'd come upstairs like so loud, just screaming like, I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. And my brother and I would be like, oh my gosh, stop. But that's something that you guys can say to yourself. Like if you're going to a coffee shop and you're just like not in a good mood and you're feeling like, oh, nothing's going right. Like repeat that like a goofball in the car and just like think of my dad. And it totally does like shift your energy and like will put a smile on your face and it'll help. So
while whipping the wild orange, of course.
And the wild orange too.
Good. Yes. Just quick, I know went a little bit long, but does anybody have any questions that they want to ask Audra while she's with us? Can post in the chat or unmute yourself.
Unmute. And I always forget to stop the share. There we go.
Audra, was there anything else you were going to say about recruiting up, or was that specifically what you were sharing at the end with Jen Panza?
So I could talk about that for a long time, but I feel like something that I see people run into is they will get in that space of like, oh, that person's too cool. That person's like, they're already successful. They already own a business. Like, why would they want to like work with me? Why would they want to like build a business with doTERRA? They don't even have a felt need yet, blah, blah, blah. But you guys, every single one of my 5 leaders who are like just crushing it have all had a 6-figure and a year like business. But what they've saw with doTERRA is that what we can create through this is none of them had time freedom. Every single one of them, if they stopped working, their income would also stop. And Clara, even who Kristen met, like traveled around the world for a year, but she was like bound to her laptop with all of these nutrition clients. And so like let people decide for themselves. So just like with sharing the oils, give them that option. And if you're doing the work and you're like running without them and you're just doing it, like inspiration is so much more powerful than motivation. So Jen saw that. Like she literally, I didn't finish what I said. So she always tells like how she felt so sorry for me. So she let me teach classes. And then once I was in Bali and like had hit diamond, she's like, then I had a moment where I actually felt bad for myself and was like, wait, hold on, role reversal. And so you never know, like the financial blessing, like getting money in good people's hands is like such an amazing thing. And that's something I didn't really understand. Brooke asked, do you have any tips for introverts who are not comfortable with small talk, how to start conversations with people? Yes. So I have 2 things. One is the compliment thing. You don't have to like go into full like conversation. But I think even with like as an introvert, you still like, it's kind of like the thing for me, the scary thing is teaching classes. And you guys, seriously, I am like Blue Diamond and just started doing team calls for my team like 4 months ago because I was so like terrified of getting on live, which is so silly because my team is like, they're like my family. They're all my best friends. But honestly, you just have to like sometimes just do the scary things. And as far as the small talk goes, people love to talk about themselves. So you really don't even have to talk. Like you can just ask questions. Hey, I love your haircut. Do you have someone locally that you go to? Hey, I love that scarf. Where did you get it? Hey, I love your jeans. Like, where did you get them? It can be like, honestly, anything. And just let them talk from there. I feel like that's like people, they love to talk about themselves and just always be thinking like, what can I connect with this person on? And here's the other thing, like thinking long term, maybe that's something that's like on your list of people that you attract that are your business partners. I'm an introvert and I like being an introvert. So I'm going to attract 5 people that are the most extroverted, bubbly, like amazing people who just like love talking to people all day long. So find people that like are your weaknesses, because for me, like I am not organized or put together in any way, shape, or form. And my leaders are just like on it. And I had to let go of like thinking I had to do it all and start like, and it's so amazing to work together and to like allow them and see them use their strengths and how we work together. So I think getting clear on that and attracting those people into your life too.
So good.
And if you guys have more questions or comments or anything, I sadly cannot accept anyone else on Facebook. Tyler got my last friend exception. That was so funny because when I worked at Lululemon, I just accepted everyone. I was like, oh, you want to work out? Cool. Let's be friends. And so I can't accept anyone right now. I'll sometimes go in and like delete people, but who has time for that? Like, and it's also so lame because I accidentally deleted someone that I shouldn't have, and then they realized it. So, but I am on Instagram. My Instagram is inspired_wellness. So feel free to send me a message or connect on there. Ashley said, I can identify with wanting your day to be spontaneous. Yes. Okay, so this is how I discipline myself to stick to my schedule. I looked at the photo of Nelver every day, every morning. And I knew, and Amy called me out on this at the very beginning of Diamond Club 2015, where I was like still teaching a yoga class here and there. I like started my LLC, Inspired Wellness, because I wanted to do like nutrition and goal coaching and fitness and yoga and oils. And I read Essentialism and talked to Amy and like realized that if I just put my head down and built my business, then I would be able to move on to all of the other things that I love. And you guys, the coolest thing that has come from that is it would take me like my whole life and I wouldn't even be the best functional medicine doctor. And I still wouldn't be the best yoga teacher, like trying to be the best at all those things. But by like building this amazing doTERRA community of people and finding the people who are the best nutritionists and the best yoga teachers and the best physical therapists, I'm able to like reach so many more people than I would be able to just by myself. And as far as the spontaneous stuff, so as far as discipline, like that was it. I would literally think about my life when I like today where I can have like multiple spontaneous days in a row, or I can take 2 full weeks off or whatever time off. I mean, this year has been a great example. I've been healing from adrenal fatigue and my team has just like totally risen up and just like, they are crushing it. And I've had to like calm down and rest and heal. And so essentially scheduling that time for being spontaneous in also is really important. So it's not like I was like, I can never be spontaneous. Like I would still allow myself like a couple hours or like 1 hour out of the day where I wouldn't schedule anything so I could have fun and like do whatever it was. But I really did like work my butt off. Like I was teaching so many classes. I did Diamond Club 3 seasons in a row. But it's so fun. Like none of it felt like work. None of it. I mean, I love what we get to do. And that's how it should feel for you guys too. So I think everyone figures out their own rhythm and what works well and what feels good and what brings you joy. So I think that's like the best thing ever. How did you build at the beginning while working towards silver with also wanting to wait for the more? Oh, great. Nope. I didn't use placeholders because I didn't know about those. But what I did is as I was waiting for, and that's the thing. So yes. So for the first, until leadership 2016, that was huge for me because I was just enrolling anyone and everyone. Like I would enroll 20 to 25 people a month consistently. And like literally anyone I came into contact with. was getting enrolled with oils, because that was my belief in why I was doing it. And that was my belief in how everyone can benefit from these amazing things. And so while I was building towards silver, it just was like hustling. Just, I had booths by myself, which were such a mess. Like the table was just like so cluttered, and I was like hardly even at the booth because I'd be running around like talking to people. But as far as going to leadership in 2016, that's when I realized I was solid gold by then. So I hit gold in October by myself, no business partners at all. And what I realized is I need to get really specific with who I'm sharing with, like really specific, because those people are going to become my business partners. So that was when I mapped out, these are the people that I want to work with. I didn't know Jen before doTERRA. I didn't know Clara before doTERRA. I didn't know Evie very well before doTERRA. I didn't know Missy. Only one of my leaders I knew before doTERRA. And like Clara, I knew about her. She's a very amazing nutritionist in our community. She lives in Montana now. We were in the same network, and I was like liking her things, like reached out and connected with her, but not oil related. And then she posted about her dad fighting depression on Facebook. And so I messaged her and was like, hey, are you open to trying oils? And so that was how we connected. So just connecting with people until they tell you what their felt need is. And then it took her, you guys, like, I mean, even in the Dominican, Clara was like barely silver. She like snuck into leadership. Like she thought if you hit silver once and then didn't qualify again for a year, you could still go to leadership. So she came to leadership not knowing that, and I wasn't paying attention. And then, so she came to leadership like as a kind of silver, and she just hit platinum this past month. So it took her a long time to see like, hey, what I'm doing, I'm making a lot of money with my business, but I don't have that freedom. And so she's been like, and that was 3 years ago that I met her. So
I remember having a conversation with Clara in the pool on the incentive trip, and she was telling me all the things she was doing with her nutrition business. And I was like, seriously? You've
so
built
much
all
work.
that stuff out? Why don't you just do that with doTERRA?
Yes.
I was like, you're crazy, kind of like that. And
yep.
She's like, yeah, I'm switching things this year. Like, I don't know. She was like in her process.
Yeah. And it's so funny too. You just have to be patient with people. Like Clara has someone on her team right now who's amazing, like total influencer, and she's just not ready. And I told Clara, I'm like, don't push her. Like, I waited for you. I spent 2 weeks with you in Bali when you were like not even doing doTERRA, because like we just were friends. We just connected, and she's amazing. And it's so funny too, because Kristen, thank you for having that conversation with her, and Jen Panza too. I'm like dying of adrenal fatigue in February, and Jen's like, Clara, what are you doing with your life? Like Jen kind of had a little powwow with her, which I literally was sitting there and was just like, I love my team so much. Like they're just so amazing. And we're all like on the same team. Like we are all, that's what I love too about this company, is like, it's just so cool. So.
Mm-hmm. So this is just a detail question, but those first 3 people that you hit silver with then, are they like no longer legs on your team then?
One of them, my first enrollment. So my first enrollment, you guys, and that's funny because she is Ward Market. My friend Deb Hellman, she's like 50 something. I call her my Jewish mom. She like has her muscle activation technique business, 5 kids, lives in Colorado Springs. She always gets so annoyed when I talk about my avatar and how they don't have kids. And I'm like, no, Deb, you're the exception. And so and I love kids. That just was something that for me, I was like, eventually. So Deb, my mom and I went up to her house in Breck for Christmas. And I hadn't even like opened my oils, you guys. I got them end of October, and I was just taking the vitamins consistently and was just kind of playing with them a little bit, but not really. Then I brought this box of oils, and Deb was had a massive migraine, massive. And I was like, oh, let's try past tense. And I grab it, and she was like trying to say no, because apparently when you have a migraine, you don't want smells. And I rolled it on her forehead, and within like less than 3 minutes, it was completely gone. And she had the migraine all day long. And so she was like my first enrollment. I was babysitting Amy's kids And Deb called, and Amy was like enrolling her for me while we were in the car driving. And so Deb knows like so much more about oils than I do. Like, she's brilliant. We have totally learned together. And she just, again, was like, sure, I'll open my home and I'll invite my people when I first started in Colorado Springs. And I loved putting people under her because she totally like took care of them, or at least would like message me when their LRP would go out, and was just so amazing. And she just loves helping people so much that as she fell in love with the oils and saw how much they like complement her MAT practice, just gradually, just like slow and steady. And she's super close to platinum too now. And she just did Diamond Club for the second time. She got like 3rd place in Diamond Club. It's crazy. And I remember having a conversation with Hannah, my account manager, where I was like, man, I love Deb so much, but I don't think she's ever going to actually do anything. Like, and so I was like, I'm going to have to find someone under her to work with. And you just have to be patient with people and just like totally be cool with where they're at and not push people and just go do the work. And eventually the people who are supposed to be working with you are going to come on board for sure.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
But the other 2 are not even, at all. So.
Yeah. Funny how that happens.
I know.
Anyway.
Also,
go ahead.
The kids blends, I love so much. I was rolling Thinker on tonight. If you guys are not using the kids blends on yourself, do it. It also could be because, yes, because I'm a leap year baby. So I'm technically only 7. So, but even if you're not a leap year baby, you should still use the kids oils.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Audra.
Of course. I love you and I love your team. And it was so good to see your faces. And we've been talking about connecting for a long time. So thank you for being patient.
No, this is wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining and sticking around late. We'll be connecting soon. All of us, my team and you, Audra.
Amazing. Okay. Love you guys. Have a good night. And I will see you all at leadership or at convention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Yeah.